Welcome to Soulful Sunday here at Ariel's Corner. This is Ariel Gatoga, and we are streaming live on YouTube. I hope you're having a great day today. I sure am. Moderating today are the lovely Honeypaw and the lovely Dre. And it's a good day. Let's see. Our website is located at arielscorner.com. arielscorner.com. Please check it out and get a hold of all of our stuff that we offer. We have courses, we have booklets, guided meditations, lectures, spells, all kinds of cool stuff. So check it out, arielscorner.com. It's all free of charge. We don't charge for anything. And while you're there, check out the headers and footers of every page, and you'll find all of our social media links, including our links to our private Facebook group and our Discord server. And those are two places that you can become a little bit more involved in our community, should you desire to be. We also have a chat thread going on in the live stream here. So please chat amongst yourselves. And if you happen to have any questions for me, you can put them right in that chat thread, provided I am not going over because I got to get to work today. I will answer those. If for some reason I can't get to your question, take them on over to the Discord server or the private Facebook group, and I'll do my best to answer them there. Our podcast hub is located at arielspodcasts.com. Our shop is located at arielscornershop.com. Please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. When you choose that notification bell, make sure that you select all notifications so that you'll be aware of all notifications from our channel. Should you desire to give a donation to us, you can do that by going to paypal.me/arielgatoga, paypal.me/arielgatoga. You can also donate by using a super sticker, super chat, or super thanks right here on YouTube. And if you'd like to give a donation using a credit card, debit card, Apple Pay, and all the other kinds of payments other than PayPal and YouTube, you can do that on our website. On the footer of every page, there's a little donate link, and that's how you can get to that. arielscorner.com. If you are in a place where it is safe and appropriate, please close your eyes and begin to take some nice, long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering your body and mind. With every exhale, allow all the tension in your body to go, along with anything in your mind that you do not want. Inhaling peace, exhaling as you let go. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, and it lights us and the grove with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily and efficiently burns away everything unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this sacred space, we invoke the presence of our Creator. To many of us, our Creator reveals themselves to be a mother and father, a goddess and God. We also call upon our angels, guides, and teachers. We ask that we be guided as we walk upon the way, and that we become happier, more peaceful, wiser, more magical, and more loving people. Blessed be. The definition of the word altruism is selfless concern for the well-being of others without care for one's own interests, unselfishness. And we are taught that it is a good thing to be altruistic. In fact, that's a goal for many people, is to be altruistic. And I question that. I question not only whether that is an attainable goal, but I also question whether that's a healthy goal, whether that's a goal that somebody should even strive toward or attempt. The idea that you're turning away from your own self-interest in order that you can serve the interests of other people doesn't make a lot of sense from a magical or metaphysical point of view. Because from a magical point of view, desire is the catalyst of everything. And if our desire is to turn off our desire, to turn off our own self-interest and serve the other people, our actions are misguided. I think that if we were to be very clear with ourselves about how the infinite works through us, we would understand that the infinite works through our desires. And that ultimately that which feels good is what we go toward, and that which doesn't feel good is that which we avoid. However, the ego mind, being what it is, has convinced us that many of the things that are painful to us actually feel good, and that many of the things that feel good to us are actually to be avoided or uncomfortable. And so therefore our own self-interest has been denied in favor of a false sense of self. Ultimately, it feels good to serve. Ultimately, it feels good. The soul's desire is to extend itself as we are extended, as we are extensions, So if you think in terms of the idea of creation being that the infinite extends itself as you are like your creator in that you extend yourself, and so on and so on. And that's how creation expands. That's how the universe is constantly expanding. And it's one loving thought after the next loving thought after the next loving thought. And so it feels good to extend love to other people. It feels good to forgive. It feels good to serve. It feels good to be of service to other people. That feels good. That's natural to feel good. Now, when the ego gets involved, it likes to tinker with that, because the ego's programming is that of self-destruction. So of course it would make sense that in order for us to be self-destructive, that we go against our nature, that we go against that which feels good. And the only way to do that is for us to convince ourselves that that which feels good is painful, is strife, is difficult, is hard. And that which is painful is now something that we strive for, that actually feels good. We convince ourselves that up is down, left is right, hot is cold, the sky is red. And that's how we go about our day, is believing that we are separate beings, that all we are here to do is fend for ourselves, fight for ourselves, protect ourselves, be suspicious of others, that love is weak and might is right. So then you get people in the midst of all of that telling you, oh, but you need to be altruistic. You need to turn away from your own self-interest and go after helping other people. And all that serves is to further entrench us in the illusion that we are separate and that there is something wrong with us. The old image of the monks flagellating themselves for penance. They had to convince themselves eventually that flagellation felt good, that they were doing something good, that the infinite was very happy that they were flagellating themselves. That wasn't natural. It's not natural to harm yourself and to say, ooh, that feels good. That's learned behavior. And it's not only those monks that were self-flagellating that are acting out like that. It's all of us. We all act out like this. We all act like what is painful is pleasurable, and what is pleasurable is to be avoided. To be altruistic and to desire altruism is a fool's errand, because to say that I'm going to turn away from self-interest, that I'm going to turn away from that which feels good in order to serve another person, is to turn away from the source of your life. The source of who you are as a soul brings with it the guidance necessary to exist in any situation and to move through any situation. And that guidance has to be trusted. And the only way that guidance can be trusted is if we learn to trust what feels good actually feels good, and what doesn't feel good actually doesn't feel good. That we learn discernment, and we learn how to listen with keen interest to that still small voice within us that is always guiding us to where we need to be in any situation. When you forgive someone, it automatically feels good on the other side of it. It always feels freeing. It always has a weight lifted off your shoulder. When you help someone who is in need, it feels wonderful. And if it doesn't feel wonderful, you shouldn't do it. If it doesn't feel wonderful, then you're not getting the guidance to do it. But before we can get to the point where we can trust that our guidance is guiding us, we have to be willing to be taught. We have to be willing to unlearn the ideas that we have swallowed, the belief systems that we've swallowed whole, that up is down, left is right, pain is pleasure, pleasure is pain. We have to be willing to be initiated into the reality of the world. We knew as little babies what felt good. We knew as babies what to trust and what not to trust. That we were very clear. I want food. I'm cold. This doesn't feel good. This does feel good. And we made it known. When something didn't feel good, we'd scream and cry until we got what we wanted. And unless you become like a little child, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. What's the kingdom of heaven? The kingdom of heaven is that place within you where you are provided for. Everything works out for you. And that's the guidance system. That's the kingdom of heaven. And unless you're like a little child, you're not going to be able to trust that guidance. To know, no, this feels good. No, this doesn't feel good. I want more of this. No, I don't want more of this. After I do this, I feel bad. After I do this, I feel good. We have to allow ourselves to be retrained as to what our self-interest really is. And the infinite wants us to operate out of self-interest because it understands that when you're listening to your own self-interest, your self-interest is connected to the interest of everyone around you. Everyone benefits when you put yourself first. Do you think a little baby comes in and starts crying, that baby over there isn't getting food? No. That's none of that baby's concern. It's none of that baby's business. That baby's crying because it wants food. That other baby will cry until it gets food because it's got its own voice. It's got its own ability to cry for what it needs. So, in trying to become adults in this world, what we do is we misunderstand what that means. We grow up into becoming more egoic and less like our souls. We go along with social norms that are not always healthy. We go along with mythologies that are not always healthy. We believe what we were taught as children by authority figures that are not always healthy and that very frequently are at odds with our self-interest. And we've convinced ourselves that certain things feel good that don't feel good, and that certain things feel bad that actually feel good. And until we are willing to be purified of those misconceptions, we'll never understand our self-interest. And we're always going to be flailing about. And this idea that in order to be a good person, that you have to deny your own self-interest in order to help other people is so off the mark, and the infinite has no desire for that. That is so unnatural. And it's something that we really need to stop. Because altruism comes from the idea that you deny yourself. If you start from the premise that I'm denying myself in order to help other people, what you're doing is not helping. You're bringing your self-denial into the situation, and you're actually making things worse, not better. But if you listen to that still small voice within you, and you understand what is your self-interest, what do you want? What are your true desires? Not the lusts that you've been convinced feel good, necessarily. And not all of those are bad. I'm not saying that all what is termed lust by society is bad. I'm not saying any of that. There's no value judgment on what you think is pleasure and pain. What I'm saying is that until we are purified and understand what it is that we truly desire, rather than what we've convinced ourselves that we desire, what we've been taught to desire, or what our neuroses have manifested as desires. Until we've purified ourselves of those things, that's called being born again or being initiated. Until we've gone through that, the last thing we need is to be helpful. The last thing we need is altruism. Okay, so I'm really screwed up and I have absolutely no idea what I really want. So I'm going to turn off what little bit of understanding of my desires that I have, and I'm going to go out and help people. You're not helping. That's not helpful. The infinite would much rather you stop. But when we have purified ourselves, or at least have begun to do so on a serious level, on a profound level, purified ourselves of these erroneous ideas of what we desire and what we don't desire, and we start to get a glimpse of true self-interest, we understand that my self-interest is very helpful, even without me thinking about it as being helpful. When I'm doing what I came here to do, when I'm doing what really makes my heart sing, when I'm doing the things that give my soul pleasure, everyone benefits. But how can you call that altruism? Denying yourself is not what's happening. The denying yourself is not part of the equation when you are truly embracing your soul's journey. In fact, self-interest is everything. But this idea that self-interest is somehow harmful to other people is the problem, because we are not connecting to our soul's desires. We are connecting to our ego's lusts, and we are mistaking the two. And they're not that difficult to discern. It just takes time and it takes practice to be able to discern what's a soul desire and what's an ego's lust. For one thing, the soul's desire always happens within the context of peace. You're able to relax in the presence of your soul's desire and still feel ecstasy about it. It's an ecstatic feeling of joy that can be experienced in the presence of peace. Whereas the ego's lusts are always accompanied by tension, and the ego's lusts are fleeting. The ego's lusts end, and then you got to get another fix. The soul's desires are eternal, and you don't need a fix because they are self-perpetuating and constantly expanding. Your desire to be an artist is not a fix that you get. Your desire to be a musician or to sing, it's not a fix that you get. It's a constant desire to become better and better and better and better at what you do. But if you're being altruistic and you're saying, well, I better turn away from everything that makes me happy so I can go serve other people, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping anybody. Giving up your singing career, and that's your heart's big desire, is to be a singer. You're going to give that up to be altruistic and go help people, to go join the Foreign Legion or something. That's not helping. That's not helpful. You're denying yourself when you do that. You're denying the gift that you're going to bring to people through your singing or through your sculpture or through your writing or whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be that lofty. Whatever the things are in your life that make your heart sing. So this idea of altruism, in my personal opinion, is something that is best just eschewed completely. Dumped. Get rid of it, tear it up, toss it away. Not healthy, not good, does not come from the infinite, is not a holy desire. It's nonsense. Now, some people can look at what a person does and says, oh, they are so altruistic. All they do is lay down their life for the service of humanity. But they don't know that. They're just judging by appearances. If it's truly service and they are truly making a difference, that person's really enjoying doing this. They get great joy from it. It's ecstasy for them. They want nothing more than this, what they're doing. It's not altruism. It makes them tick. It makes them get up in the morning. They inspire people to do the things that they're doing, to want to do what they're doing. There's no altruism in that. Altruism, what a silly concept, in my opinion. It's an unhealthy concept. The idea of altruism is very unhealthy. I'm going to deny myself for other people. What nonsense. It's better not to help people for a while and to get clear on yourself and to understand what your soul's desires are and to stop being so helpful for a minute or two until you get your priorities straight. Because what you're doing as helping, if your own priorities are not straight, is probably more like interfering. Because you've got an idea of what you should be doing, not based on what you're being called to do, but based on some kind of figuring that you've done. That's what the ego does. The ego does is figure. It just figures. It puts 2 and 2 together and comes up with a number. Sometimes it's a true number. Sometimes it's 4, but frequently it's not. That's what the ego does. It figures. You don't need to figure out your life's purpose. Your life's purpose is in you. Your life's purpose has many facets, and your life's purpose can seem to change over time. But that's just because time is a false construct that we have to live in during this, while we are living within this realm. Space and time go together. So if we want space, we got to have time. If we want form, we got to have time. If you want music, you got to have time. Music exists through time, right? So while we're in time, it can appear as though your desires change over time. But if you look back as a soul and you see the big picture, you say, well, it wasn't that it was changing. I was just getting more pieces of it. I was expressing more pieces of my soul's desire. The only time that you're off of your soul's desire is when you're doing things like, I should do this. When you're operating from what you think you should do in order to be a better person or to be a responsible person, etc. But if you're operating from your soul's desires, from your true desires in this world, not only are you going to be happy and contribute, but you will be responsible. It just may not be the responsibility that looks like responsibility to other people. But that doesn't matter. The infinite knows what it's doing. Nature knows what it's doing. If you look at nature, sometimes some things in nature look a little odd. They look a little weird. But when you understand that they have a function, you let them be what they are. You let it be what it is. So maybe your function as a soul seems a little odd to people. Big deal. That's just who you are. Maybe what you are as a soul, maybe your desires really fit together with other people's and you don't seem so odd. Maybe you just really are, you fit in with society well, but you're still following your heart's desire. Well, good for you. Either way is fine. As long as you have allowed the infinite to purify from your mind those erroneous ideas of pleasure and pain that tend to run us in this society. That's the biggest problem that we have, is we don't know what feels good and what doesn't. We've convinced ourselves that right is wrong and good is bad and light is dark, etc. We've convinced ourselves that this upside down world that we live in is normal. But once you say, wait a minute, not so fast, I'm going to pull back, I'm going to stop believing everything that my senses are reporting to me just for a few minutes a day, and let spirit take over. And let spirit come through and kind of recalibrate for me and wake me up to the reality of who I am. You're going to understand that you're a desire machine. Everything you do runs off of desire. And desire is not bad. The true desires of your heart are there to be manifest. That's their purpose. And the true desires of your heart, when they are manifest, are good for everyone. They're good for everyone, whether or not you understand how. In fact, it's sometimes better if you don't know how. A lot of times it's so much better if you're just part of the mystery. Because when you look back in retrospect, you say, wow, look at that. Everything worked out so well. I'm so glad I didn't know what I was doing, because I would have messed it up. I would have had a bright idea that got in the way of all of this. So a lot of times your genius is better left to its own devices, because your surface mind thinks it's smarter than it is. And the surface mind tends to thwart our genius. That's its function, remember? The surface mind, the ego mind, is there to participate in fecal alchemy, turning wonderful things into caca. That's its job. And so once we recognize that, we don't fall victim to it anymore. We just let those thoughts be the way they are, and we don't follow those trains of thoughts. We allow ourselves to listen to that still small voice within us. We allow ourselves to find what the true desires of our heart feel like versus those fleeting lusts and addictions of the ego, and start to discern between the two. And when we do that, we understand this has nothing to do with alchemy. This has nothing to do with altruism. It has nothing to do with altruism. It has nothing to do with turning away from self-interest in order to help other people. What hogwash. What nonsense that is. Don't fall for it. Do not let anybody ever try to convince you that altruism is healthy for you, because it's not. It's not the way the infinite works. The infinite works through desire and through self-interest. Your true will is all that you really need to worry about. And if you're working within your true will, not only will you not go up against the true will of another, because it's impossible, but your true will is going to foster an environment where the true will of other people thrives. Forgiving other people, people think that's altruistic, then you're not doing it right. You forgive people because it feels good. You forgive people out of self-interest because it makes your life better, not theirs. Their life is none of your business. Helping people get food that are starving feels good. That's self-interest. Helping people find homes who are homeless feels good. That's self-interest. You're better off because of that. Of course, they're better off, but ultimately that's not your job. That's not even your business. Your business is to do what you're called to do and let the chips fall where they may with everybody else. It's up to them to find their calling. It's up to them to find their true will. It's up to them to understand that there's a still small voice within them and that they can have their divine will manifest as well. But that's not up to you to force. And it's definitely not up to you to turn away from self-interest in order to serve them. All you're going to be doing is hurting them and yourself. So what's important more than anything for us is to understand that true self-interest is a sacred thing. Walking a sacred path. It's not the same me with a small m that the ego is. It's the I am. And that is who? That is the Creator itself. I am. So that's the only part of the Creator that you have access to is I am. Not you are, not they are. Not let's turn away from I am in order to help them. What blasphemy. What blasphemy that is. If there is a Satanism, that's it. If there's, and I don't mean Satanism as a religion, but I'm talking about these people that talk about how things are satanic and demonic. That is self-denial. Self-denial under the guise of helping other people is one of the most evil things you can do in this world. Because it doesn't come from a connection to the infinite. It doesn't come from truth. It comes from an ego, surface mind, trying to do two things at once, deny you and attack them, under the guise of being helpful and altruistic. So, I invite you to spend some time this next week in relaxation and contemplation, and just ask that the divine design of your life reveal itself to you. And listen, what feels good? What truly feels good? And ask that you find discernment between the desires of your heart versus the lusts of your ego or the addictions of your ego, that you have discernment. Because when you have that discernment, you can't be messed with. Nobody's going to be able to mess with you. Anybody out there that's manipulative can only manipulate you through your ego addictions. They cannot manipulate you through the true desires of your heart. They can't manipulate you through your true will. It's impossible. So you're unmanipulatable when you are free from the misconceptions of what pain versus pleasure are. And only you get to determine that. You and that still small voice within you. Nobody else can. That's you. It's all about you. I am. How can you be altruistic and say I am as God? How is that even possible? Altruism is they are, you are. That is not God. I am. I am. It's the capital I. It's the holy I. It's not the small me of the ego. It's the capital I of I am. It's the infinite as you, expressing itself as you. And it's going to express itself as you through a tempest of desire. Your heart will be filled with ecstatic desire of what you are here to do, be, and have. And that's how you know that still small voice has been listened to, because you unleash this torrent of pleasure, this torrent of desire. And that desire is there to be fulfilled. But if you're saying, no, turn off that fountain, I got to be altruistic, I got to go help those people over there, you are off the mark. Don't buy it. It's bad. It's wrong. It's unhealthy. It's a trick. It's a trick of the ego. I am. You have everything within you that you need. I know that's easy to say and hard to sometimes believe, but if you spend some time and ask that your true will be revealed to you, you'll see that it's absolutely true for you. You have everything you need within you. And the only way to find the everything within you is to learn how to have peace, is to learn how to relax, is to learn how to stand peace. One of the reasons why we have such a hard time discerning between pleasure and pain in truth is because we have been taught that it's excruciatingly painful to be at peace. I got to be doing something. I need input. I need activity. I need screen time. I need something more than this. I can't sit in peace. It's excruciatingly painful. That's the problem right there. As soon as you can come to terms with the fact that the most pleasurable thing for you is sitting in the presence of the infinite, in a place of peace where all your needs are met and that you want for nothing, when you can sit in that experience for 5 minutes at a time, you know that you're on your way. But until you get there, you're just under the influence of that ego mind. No, I want stimulus. I want whatever it is that the ego is giving you that's not really pleasurable, and that won't last, and that always ends and always leaves you feeling empty and wanting another hit. But when you find that inner peace and you realize, oh, this is excruciating, you lean into that excruciating. You relax actually into that excruciating, and you understand this is what pleasure is. This is what feels good. This feels amazing. And as you get used to that and you expand your ability to withstand that amount of peace, little by little over time, so you can maybe get up to 20 minutes at a time of feeling that kind of peace, then you know that you always have at your disposal that inner guidance in any situation, and that inner guidance will be speaking to you through that which you desire. not that which you deny in yourself. The only thing you have to deny in yourself is the parts of yourself that aren't real, and those just fall away naturally in the midst of peace. Just remind yourself of that the ego cannot exist in peace. Why? Because peace only can exist in the present moment. The ego only exists in the past and present. The ego can only exist in the past and the future, which means it's not real. And since the ego only exists in the past and the future, and it's not real, anything that you do to get you involved in the present moment and undistracted kills the ego in that moment. I shouldn't even say kill, that's the wrong word. Allows you to understand the unreality of the ego in that moment. And then when you are understanding the unreality of the ego in the moment, then you are plugged into that desire and you know what to do. But you do it because it feels good, because it's what you want, because it's your true will, not because you're altruistic, not because you're denying yourself, not because you're, quote, helping. It's better not to be helpful in that regard. The only way to be truly helpful is to be at one with your true will. And then you will be truly helpful. You will be guided. You will be a healer. You will know what to do, but it'll feel good to do those things. It'll be self-interest that does those things, and everybody will win. If you're being altruistic, nobody wins. They may seem to win in the short term, but ultimately nobody wins because it's a house built on sand. Whereas if you're listening to the true desires of your heart, it's a house built on rock. And that's how that works. Thank you so very much for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be. Let's see. Ariel, if I understand correctly, there are protections in psalmic magic that keep the practitioner from messing things up. Can these be invoked in other methods of spellcasting? Sure. Sure they can. Yeah. Just like we talked about today, if you're working within your true will and you are spending time in peace every day, then you know that you're going for that which is good for you. You're not going for that which is self-destructive. You're guided and led on the way. So you don't have to use psalm magic in order to get there. You can do anything you like, any method you like, but you're coming from the point of view of I'm being guided by spirit, and I'm not buying into the lusts of my ego mind. But yeah, no, you don't need to do psalm magic if that's not your thing. Absolutely. All right. Well, that was a good question. Thank you for that. And thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. Thank you also to the amazing moderators, Honey, Pa, and Dre. And we will see everybody on Wednesday for Witchy Wednesday. Until next time, blessed be.